What's up, my comic comrades? Today we're wrapping up our overview of the 2021 Kang the Conqueror miniseries with issues 3 through 5. This miniseries does a great job of analyzing Kang's character and giving us a peek of why he is who he is, and the tragedy that is his life, including a look at his love Ravonna and how all he really wants in life is to be with her. But like many fictional love stories, their love story ends in a tragedy. Overall, it's a really interesting story that could have serious relevance for the character as he expands his presence in the MCU. Anyway, we covered the first 2 issues of the series right here, so if you haven't read those comics for yourself or watched our episode on them, make sure you do so before watching today's episode, because if not, things are gonna get spoiled for you. With that said, let's see how this solo Kang series wraps up. Issue 2 left us with a young Kang or Nathaniel Richards going to Apocalypse to team up with him and defeat Rama Tut, aka another version of Kang, who wanted to enslave Nathaniel and his love Ravonna. Well, at the beginning of issue 3, we see Nathaniel has reached an agreement with Sabanor, aka Apocalypse, to get his revenge. Sabanor then uses his powers on young Nathaniel, saying, "Hear me now, child of time, and prepare your human mind for the gauntlet to come. Your predecessor, the fallen pharaoh, made the goddess Time into his concubine. He cheated her of her hours and minutes. He traveled through her, and swiftly, when her satisfaction demanded patience. Sabanor seeks not this path, for it is strewn with cowards. So if you are to cross the ages of our mutual goal, the destruction of the Tyrant King, you will do so by her measure, in her time, protected from her ravages, but not immune to her wisdom. Evolution demands it. Do you understand, Nathaniel Richards?" He replies, "This is my plan, Apocalypse. Of course I understand. Now cease your lectures and do it. Send me on my way." And with that, Apocalypse sent Nathaniel Richards forward in time to Kang the Conqueror's first battle with Earth's mightiest heroes, the Avengers. While there, Nathaniel sees the Avengers attacking Kang, who just invaded via his ship. Nathaniel's captions say, "The Avengers. Their names echoed in my head from the years of study. Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Giant Man, the Wasp. They look bigger in my memory, such is too often the way with fools." They did not even notice the boy underfoot. They thought they could defeat Kang on the field, and the victory would soon be theirs. I knew the outcome. Kang would escape into time, for time was his weapon, and only through its clever application could he be surprised. So as they fought him with shield and hammer, I approached not as Alexander, but as Odysseus. I made Kang's time ship know me as a friend, for none could access its arsenal but Kang. And as the Avengers start their final assault on Kang with Thor using lightning from his hammer, Kang says, "Damn those fools. Those damn fools. Ship, retreat into the time stream." But a voice then says, "Escape in time all you want, Kang. You are the fool today. For you have crossed time and space, survived the ravages of ancient Egypt and the distant future, only to die at my hand." As we see Nathaniel pointing a gun at him. Kang asks how. "I do not discover my ancestor's time machine until my 23rd year. You've not even mastered the technology of the year 4000. What are you?" Nathaniel answers, "I'm what you made, your second chance, and now you have only yourself to blame." Kang then responds, "You are a disappointment and a betrayer." Nathaniel tells him, "No, in the Old Kingdom you captured a young rebel priestess. Her name was Ravonna. She died under your mind control, stripped of everything that gave her life. I loved her, and I am her avenger. Your time is done." Kang says, "Is that so? Then what happens now, little Kang?" Nathaniel tells him, "I kill you. I erase from all time the conquest of Kang. I take this time ship back to the Old Kingdom, where I replace you. I save Ravonna. I bury your legacy in the ancient sands, and we live an unconquered life." Kang replies, "Are you insane, you idiot child? If I trained you, the chrono stream will buckle under the weight of your paradox. You will poison the very fabric of time." Nathaniel tells him, "Time means nothing to Kang." A voice then says, "How fitting, for as you will soon come to know, Kang means nothing to Doom." As we see Dr. Doom teleport inside the ship. That's right, their standoff is interrupted by Dr. Doom, who also wants to kill Kang. It's at this point that Nathaniel and Kang have no option but to strike a temporary truce in order to defeat Dr. Doom. As Nathaniel says, "We stood side by side using our matching force field technology to freeze Doom in his steps. And with their combined power, they're able to send him back to his castle." Nathaniel then says, "But this day, it was not the bully who held the knife," continuing to say, "No, Kang, Doom is right about one thing. Your time is done," as he shoots and kills Kang. It's at this point Nathaniel replaced his future self in the timeline and returned to ancient Egypt, taking on the role of Rama Tut. As Rama, he was able to spare Ravonna's life, but couldn't win her love. As she said, "If you love me as you claim, you would give me my freedom." The captions of Nathaniel say, "There was no time for plain speak. Apocalypse's war was at my gates, so I gave her wrath in place of freedom. The ultra-diode ray would never be her fate again. For her safety, I had Ravonna taken to a compound of my own creation, a hidden place where the violence of the war would pass by her. Should she survive, I would find her in the aftermath. I had become Pharaoh for one purpose, and through mastery of time, I had succeeded. And then the trap closed around me. and so like him, I ran. As we see the Fantastic Four come back in time to defeat him, which we saw many moons ago in Fantastic Four 19. Anyway, being forced to flee this time to a distant war-torn future, he was met by yet another version of Ravonna. The captions say, but once again, time had a surprise for he who had thought her conquered, and her name was Ravonna. This brings us to the end of issue 3 and onto issue 4, which I'm going to run through a bit quicker. After meeting the second version of Ravonna in this war-torn future, the two quickly team up fighting off the beings of this future, but their partnership is very short-lived. It all went downhill when he turned and looked at her saying, "Whoa, I loved you at the dawn of civilization. I love you at the end." She replies, "Nathaniel, you come from a past sky, from a time when this world was green and soft and living. And of all the faces, the first you saw was mine. You think that's an ending, but it is only a moment. In this moment, we have killed Arbalest, the tyrant beast, but another shall rise, and he too, in turn, will be killed. We may be killed. If there is to be any worth in this world, to live in this moment will never be enough." He tells her, "Ravonna, please understand me. Everyone else alive, they are footnotes. We could be all that matters. No more reaving, pain, any of it. We needn't toil toward an impossible end. We could leave all of this. We could live gloriously." But she just responds to this by body tossing him and saying, "No. You understand our technology in ways we can't imagine. Your view of history's shadow stretches beyond horizons. And all that power you used to claim me as you claim this woman you loved. Except that she is not me and I am not yours. I belong to myself. And the moment we've made shall be our last." Nathaniel then takes a second to look at the blood on his hand while remembering what his future self told him in a previous issue, never love. But Nathaniel just answers himself saying, as if it were a choice. Nathaniel then says, "Fine, if the choice was to be mine between a heart pierced by her gaze and one hearted against her, then I would choose conquest." Essentially, Nathaniel stopped resisting his fate and became the cross-time conqueror fate wanted him to be. But it wasn't that simple, because he soon found a third version of Ravonna who he knew died tragically in his predecessor's timeline. So he tried a new tactic this time around, which was mercy. He decided to show love to earn Ravonna's love, and the two would have been happy. But the mercy he showed to everyone around him allowed Ravonna to be killed by Baltag, an assassin of Kang's who betrayed him by killing Ravonna by shooting her in the back. With her dying in Kang's arms, this cemented the cycle of violence young Nathaniel Richards was trying to desperately escape. But he wasn't done trying, so in a last-ditch effort of defiance against time, Kang vowed to bring Ravonna back to life, even if it meant shattering all of reality, as he puts Ravonna in some device saying, "Awake, Ravonna, awake 1,000 times. And be saved by my final conquest." And that brings us to the end of issue 4, which leads us into the 5th and final issue of this miniseries. In this issue, we see Kang is following through with his promise to bring Ravonna back to life. We see him on top of a giant meteor inside of a globe city, with him saying, "I call this place Chronopolis. This is where we live, Ravonna, where you live. I swear it, even if it takes 1,000 attempts," as he stares at her body inside of a chamber. He continues to say, "She was not you, but she had wisdom. Go, my Ravonna, and be infinitely reborn in the space between the stars," as he pulls a lever to a device he's activating. As we see 3 different babies of Ravonna all over time, captions from Kang say, "Using every bit of Chronopolis power, I unravel the very fabric of time. I found the threads of fate and made the city its loom. And from it, I wove a machine in constant replication. I injected Ravonna Renslayer's very soul into time, like a dye into the threads of an entire tapestry. Where time had taken her from me, I forced time to do the opposite, the birth of infinite Ravonnas in infinite timelines, giving myself infinite chances to save her. The plan was genius. It was flawless until it began." We are then given a montage of panels where we see several different versions of Ravonna, with Kang trying to have his happy ending, but all of them fail one way or another. With us seeing the last version of her saying, "Monster, how dare you, how dare you." She then starts attacking Kang saying, "The great machine knows time. It sees all who manipulate it. Plus, I could smell you across the time stream. You hideous jackal. My life, you made me believe you were a good man, and then you stole my life." As she swings some sort of energy sword at him, he blocks it saying, "No, I saved you. Ravonna, you saved me, and I loved you. I love you, Ravonna. You're magnificent. So I wrote your name across time." She replies, "It was not yours to write, pathetic little Nathaniel Richards." Kang then says, "Oh well, another failure. All that's left to do is cauterize the wound," as he blasts her with a gun. As he's doing this, she says, "I never had a chance to be free from you, but some of them, one of them might. I can't free them from time, but I can free them from you. You're the wound, Kang. Burn." As she uses her power to destroy Chronopolis. But of course, Kang, as always, escapes through time. And as he falls through time, he says, "Then I realized what it meant. I thought hard about that day, that place, that all-important moment. And I arrived 10 minutes early. He was younger than I remembered. Nathaniel Richards' eyes, I remembered as once my own. I had felt so powerful, so capable. I'd looked at Kang with disdain. The sneer was insufferable. I swore to erase it from the boy. I gave him the chance I'd been given from the monster who made me. But with the benefit of my knowledge, I would save him the trauma. I would do it right. But as he says, he's trying to do things differently this time. Kang goes through all the same events that we saw his younger self go through in previous issues, but this time, again, he's the older version now, having tried to be with Ravonna, his love, for all these centuries. We even see this older Kang or Nathaniel kill Ravonna's tribe, which was the exact incident that sent his younger self on this journey to pursue Ravonna, but this time doing it to teach a lesson to young Nathaniel. As he says, the one that in my fury I felt forced to teach. And after Kang kills Ravonna and the tribe, young Nathaniel steals his armor and sets off to make his own destiny and find Ravonna in time, just like he did at the beginning. But we see that this older Nathaniel just wakes up saying, "Run, Nathaniel, run and become. You think me conquered, but it is not Kang who has died this day." For Nathaniel Richards is not a boy nor man, nor hero nor villain. He is only a beginning, as we see Kang has a second suit of armor. As Kang waits for the meteor to destroy this world much like he did earlier in the series, he says, "A king and a tyrant, a villain and a hero. We will be all things, experience all things. The beginning and ending of time are ours by immortality's boon. You will have the power of a god. And when you have lived an immortal's life, still here you will stand, never love. How could I, when there is no one left to love? Across all time my Ravonnas are gone, my past affixed, its loop completed. Her grip upon my heart releases, and so the husk stops. I have found my desiccation." He stares at Armageddon as the meteor approaches, saying, "Alexander wept because he could not conquer his world. Alexander wept because he could not conquer himself. But I am not Alexander." As we get an epic shot of the meteor destroying the dinosaurs and the world behind him, with Kang walking away saying, "Rest in fire, Nathaniel Richards. Rest knowing you have bested all who you thought to be great in this world. Die knowing you stand astride destiny. Give your face and your voice to who you created, and who in turn created you. And above all other things, though all time and space may conspire to defeat you, never ever love." As Kang hovers in a chair watching the planet be destroyed. And with that, the series ends. What a series, guys. This was one of the best Kang stories I ever read. I love how this was both a revisited and revised origin story for Kang, and in the process show us how tragic his origin and life was. Again, the only thing he really wanted was just to be with his love Ravonna. But in the end, that was impossible no matter what he did. He learned that his fate was inevitable as he came full circle and found himself in the exact place where the older version of himself was at the beginning of the story. The cycle had just reset. Simply put, I thoroughly enjoyed this series, and I think it's a must-read for anyone who is a fan of Kang the Conqueror or just wants to know more about the character. But what do you guys think of this mini-series? Let us know in the comments. And that's gonna bring today's episode to a close, but if you like this video, check out this one right here. And if you like all of our content, subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the channel out. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.